A year ago, when I said that I would stake my entire professional career on the fact that Brigitte Macron, the current First Lady of France, was born a man, there were many people, of course, who did not believe me because that just sounds crazy. I want you to come to Tennessee so bad. Bring this lawsuit as you would have to the great state of Tennessee. Bring it to the volunteer state, We still have the good old boys here. And don't even waste your money getting a courier to file. I'll file it for you. I'll be your courier, okay? I'll run down to the courthouse and file the lawsuit for you, but you chose the wrong journalist. Candace is not intimidated. No, I am not intimidated. In fact, I would describe myself as positively elated about this opportunity, Mr. and Mr. Macron, okay? If you promise me that you two will show up hand in hand, okay, that you will come down to a state where we still have the good old boys, and you'll explain to them, Brigitte, that you think 15-year-olds boys can be sexy. I really hope they file that lawsuit. I really hope that Brigitte Macron ordains himself so bold as to arrive into the great state of Tennessee.
This episode is titled Candace Owens and Xavier Poussard. And please, I want you to remember, on Candace Owens' YouTube channel, you will have just about 15 minutes of it. I had to go to her website, candaceowens.com, in order to watch the full interview, to watch everything, because there are a few things there that where YouTube is currently censoring. So that was the reason. And lucky for me, I went there. It was not behind a paywall, because if it was behind a paywall, God, I'm not sure I would have been able to pay that money. I don't have it, okay? I am not paid a dime to do this. I saw people in my comment section saying that Israel is paying me for this research. My God, I'm working for myself to put this information out there. No one is paying me, okay? I don't know. Is Israel paying people to do research? That is strange. Okay, let's get into it. This is how it happened. Xavier Poussard came on this interview, and he started by giving us a story, the story we have had of everything from the start to now. And he deliberately and coherently explained the story of how everything happened. Candace now asked him, who are you and why? How did this story come to you? How did you get attracted by this? And he said, I am naturally someone who is interested in public figures' unauthorized biographies, things they will not want out there. If someone drops it out there, he goes and does the research to make sure if it's true and then bring a spotlight to it. And unauthorized biographies, because those ones are not censored. The individual is not telling them, hey, don't talk about this. I don't like talking about that. Talk only about this. Because normally most people, when they're doing their authorized biography, some of them like to censor things and put a few things out. But when it's unauthorized, it has more juice to it. That's just the essence. So he said he is more interested in it. And one thing that happened is Brigitte Macron's unauthorized biography hit the press, and everybody was extremely confused in France, to say the least. People were seeing some discrepancies, not only in the fact that she sought out a child in her class when she was teaching in Amiens, but also the fact that they were saying the ages and they were not making sense. People were saying that the boy was 17 and she was 36, but it was not making sense, but because a lot of people said it was looking more like the boy was 14 and she was 39. Another thing that happened in this is that there were a lot of dates that were not making sense in Brigitte Macron's autobiography. And all of this was happening when they were trying to prop up the image of Emmanuel Macron to sell it to the public of France. And then you might ask, but we are selling Emmanuel Macron's image. Why are we talking about Brigitte Macron's autobiography? Well, come back to it. The reason is because they were trying to sell Emmanuel Macron as the wonderful president, this guy who just came to be, who made himself up, propped himself up from nothing, and here he is. But then they could not sell that image because he has a banking history, and all his little ties to the Rothschild family and other big entities made it in a way that it would not be palatable to the French people. No, it was not going to be that tasteful. So they said, you know what? Let us look for somebody around him that will sell us the story. Who is that? No other person but his spouse. She is a feminist. She makes sense. Let us sell this love story of theirs. Let us sell Brigitte Macron and her family. She is from a chocolate family. They were making sweet, lovely, delicious chocolat. Qui n'aime pas le chocolat? Moi, j'aime le chocolat. Tout le monde aime le chocolat. On mange ça avec le croissant. Bois un peu de lait ou bien café, and everybody would drink it. And they said, okay, let's go into Brigitte Macron. That is how they entered Brigitte Macron's story, started polishing her up, putting her in front of the public. Oh, this wonderful lady. She was so sexy and hot. They're very beautiful. Those sexy and hot are alleged. I don't know the French status and the French standards when it comes to sexy and hot women. I know I've seen French women. They are very beautiful and sexy. Les femmes françaises sont très sexy, jolies, magnifiques. Mais le magnifique et sexy de Brigitte Macron, ça ne donne pas, hein? Je ne sais pas. Peut-être c'est moi, ou bien peut-être que je ne sais pas, mais j'ai dit que ça ne donne pas. C'est tout que je dis. Le sexy là, je ne vois pas. Je ne vois pas sexy. So they were trying to say, oh, she was so hot, sexy, and beautiful, and all the boys were not finding it, they were finding it irresistible. Elle était très mignon, jolie. People were not seeing it. So all of that image we're trying to sell was not given. People started talking in France, complaining, but unfortunately, people don't speak loud. They only grumble. You know the underbelly grumble, the grumble where you don't want a lot of people to hear. That is the kind of grumble people were doing. They had to talk under the tables. Mais qu'est-ce que tu penses? Mon frère, je dis, est-ce que c'est normal? Et comment la femme, si elle est vieille avec un petit garçon, le petit garçon là, elle est 14 ans. 14 ans, je dis, elle est 39. Mais 40, c'est 40. And those are the kind of conversations French people were having, but they could not say it aloud. So some people tap Xavier Poussard. Mais mon frère, tu sais que toi, tu connais toutes les choses, si c'est les choses que tu aimes faire, mais pourquoi tu ne fais pas? And he said, tu sais, it's what I like to do, I will do it. And that is how Xavier Poussard carried himself outside. I said, you know what? I like doing these things, I will do it. He went out and started looking for documents. And while he was looking for documents for Brigitte Macron, family lineage, everything, he was hitting a brick wall. The French people also noticed another strange thing. When they were introducing the entire Brigitte Macron family, the Brigitte family, the chocolate family, the Brigitte Trogneux family that were making chocolate in Amiens, there is one thing that they were not seeing. Brigitte's brother, Jean-Michel Trogneux, seemed to have just disappeared. Il est disparu dans le public. On ne voit pas Jean-Michel Trogneux. Pourquoi? But then they are here, il fait le chocolat, il fait tout le café, il nous donne pour boire. Pourquoi? Il a rien ici. Où est Jean-Michel Trogneux? Il est où? And that is when people were also grumbling about. So Xavier Poussard started looking for documents about Jean-Michel Trogneux. He ended up somewhere. He got stuck where Jean-Michel Trogneux was enlisted in the army. And he said, but where is this guy? He couldn't find him. Lucky for him, there is this lady who has been doing a few investigations. She is just a normal citizen. She is not a journalist, but she was interested in this story as well, just as I am interested. Poor thing. We're talking about Isabella Ferrer. You remember her? The one who was sued? Yeah, that one. So Xavier Poussard got in contact with Isabella Ferrer and they spoke and she said, this is my findings. What do you think? Xavier Poussard said, oui, oui, je pense que tu as fait un bon travail. Et on doit faire ça un peu de travail encore ensemble. They went into working together. Now, the unfortunate thing is that Ferrer made a few mistakes in thinking somebody was not someone, saying that someone who was in the wedding photo that was published. Remember that very infamous wedding photo? Yes, she made a mistake saying that that person was a cousin called Jean-Louis. You remember Jean-Louis, who they said he ended his days in a psychiatric hospital, surrounded by a guard. But his wife, on the day that they were at his funeral, which the daughter Tiffany made a mistake saying that he was buried, meanwhile he was cremated. The day of that particular burial, his partner or the woman he's been with said she saw the man's passport and a lot of money. He had withdrawn all money from his account and a passport stamped for Africa. We never know. Allegedly, it means he might be somewhere in Africa. Si tu es là, il faut nous dire salut. On est là, ensemble. So, that very mistake was the one that took her into trouble. Not that they sued her for saying that she was a man or not a man who transgender. No. The reason she was sued is because she said she made the assertion, the error of that, saying that the person in that wedding photo is Jean-Louis, but it was not the cousin Jean-Louis, and that is what she was sued for. Macrons called Jean-Louis and said, sue that lady, we support you. Jean-Louis dropped the lawsuit. When I filed the lawsuit, they told him that they were going to support him. Then when he filed the lawsuit, I said, please, can you come and give me the support you said you are bringing? They said, tu sais quoi? On pense que tu vas faire ta part, on fait notre part et on fait ça séparément. Tu vois? Oui, oui, bye bye. And that's where Jean-Louis was very pissed off and started giving small interviews to a couple of people, including Emmanuel Alisson. So, speaking of Ferrer now came together with some of the things she has done, spoke to Xavier Poussard. Xavier Poussard took it. He was writing a few articles here and there, but he was still very cautious and tactical because a lot of things were not making sense. And every time he dug into a rabbit hole, it took him to places he does not know how to come out of. It is a deep... Please, I encourage you to go and watch this thing from the beginning to the end. I swear you'll be lost 72 times. I have watched it 4 times to be able to piece together this story. I'm telling you, I'm serious. And it still doesn't make sense at all. Oh, Jesus. So when he had the conversations with Ferrer, and then a lot did not still make sense. So he went on, but he could not go further. Lucky for him, another person who wanted to debunk the journalists or people who were saying things about Brigitte, because they were saying that she felt like, no, they were just being sexist against Brigitte, is Emmanuel Allison. Emmanuel Allison, you remember Emmanuel Allison who wanted to do a debunking of something before and she fell into trouble? Yes, that is the story now that he was also explaining again. Emmanuel Allison came, looked into these things, said, no, you know what? I'm going to find out these things and debunk everything. Then Emmanuel Allison entered a hole and could not come out because there was nothing to debunk. Now, Xavier Poussard gave us something very interesting. He told Emmanuela Allison, the very respected journalist, he gave her 5 names of Jean-Michel Trogneux's classmates, former classmates, and said, look, I have narrowed them down from maybe 40 or 60 to these 5 names. Go and look at these people. These are people who could give you information. They will not talk to me because I come with a certain image. People look at me a little controversial, but you were respected and people know you are coming to back her up because she was going to back him up, not under any pretense. No, she wanted to debunk these things. So, and Xavier Poussard wanted to legitimately debunk these things too and put it to bed because everything was very controversial, conspiratory, and confusing. So he gave those names. 5 names from Jean-Michel Trogneux's classmates. 5 names from Brigitte Macron's classmate. Trust me. Do you know what happened? Brick wall. Nothing came out of it. Nothing came out of it. So Jean-Michel Trogneux was very confused, but there was something that happened that was very important that made his findings move ahead. There is a picture which he revealed, the very viral picture of Jean-Michel Trogneux, which is the last had a known picture of him at a certain age, about 18, which when you place side by side to Brigitte Macron, je vous dis, je ne dis rien, mais il faut regarder vous-même. Tu fais ton comment dans le comment section et tu me dis, qu'est-ce que tu penses? Est-ce que c'est moi seul qui vois ce que je vois ici? Peut-être mes yeux sont gâtés, mais il faut regarder. You look yourself and you tell me in the comment section what you see. I don't want to put anything in anybody's mind. Okay? Okay, let's move ahead. So that very picture was one thing that made him to know he was heading towards a certain path, and that path was one which was very valid. He took that picture and did a few comparisons. He tested it here and there, and he realized that, it was making sense. It gave him a good and very high percentage. Another thing he was able to discover is that when he tested it against the little girl in the photo, it did not give a high percentage with the AI. You remember I said before that, but I was wondering why did they not test it against the little girl just to be fair? But he said no, he tested it and he said no, it was not giving. It was not giving at all what he thought it would give. So he moved on with it. What happens now is this. He said another thing that made it very, very intriguing is the aspect that there was another lady in France called Amanda who had done the same thing Brigitte did, changing their name, changing a lot of things, but then she made a mistake sometime and then somehow the true identity of hers was revealed and everything went boom. So this is the same thing he said people kept repeating. This lady, this is the case of Amanda. This is the same case. And that is what kept ringing in everybody's ears. So Xavier Poussard really explains all of this and told us that what he is doing is constantly working on this, and he has not given up because he has a lot of work to do. And if you would like to support him, he is on X, he's on other platforms. You can go and support him and let him keep on digging into this information. And I'm sure there are a couple of things I would have left out. I really encourage you all to go and watch those episodes for yourself. The pictures, it is a very, very intriguing story. I tell you, it is not an easy story. When you start watching it and digging and going down that rabbit hole, you cannot come out of it. It is too deep. Now, let's go to episode 7, the epilogue. This is the closing of the season. This is the season finale. This is when we have everybody sitting on the table and we are asking them, how are you? Ça va bien? Well, this season ended by Candace Owens on her channel. She just expressed the confusion we have all been feeling from the beginning to now. The background of Brigitte Macron, the mystique of Jean-Michel Trogneux. And then she also explains that when she was trying to dig into this, there in one of the letters that the Élysée Palace lawyers sent to her, they sent her a link of a video stating another man, a shorter man, gentleman, that he was Jean-Michel Trogneux. But from all the indicators, it seems he's not family because he did not sit one with family. Two, he was not really he was not in interaction with the family. And then 3, Brigitte Macron basically ignored him when she was passing through. If it is Jean-Michel Trogneux, you were witness for his wedding, he was witness for your wedding, and you meet him, your brother, that particular brother of yours, during the inauguration of your husband, twice, you will not say, oh, hello, my dear brother, missing you. Another thing, another person who is also a mystery in all of this is another uncle of who? Emmanuel Macron. Guess what his name is? Please guess what his name is. His name is Jean-Michel Macron. God, when I tell you that, si tu n'as pas le cœur, ne cherche pas cette histoire. Cette histoire, c'est l'histoire de la mort. Ha! There is another uncle of Emmanuel Macron called Jean-Michel Macron. And he was the godfather of Macron when he was having his baptism. But do you know what is going on here? That very uncle is nowhere to be found. The uncle, il est disparu. Il n'est pas là encore. Il n'est pas là. Oui, il est disparu. Then, another thing Candace was able to pick out was the aspect that the Trogneux family, that is Brigitte's family, most of the men, their names start with Jean. So they all have the name Jean Trogneux. Jean Trogneux. And the ladies all have some male names in the middle of their names. But for me, I don't know. This is me just playing both sides. I don't know how the naming in France go. But I know that many French countries and even African countries that are French, they have a lot of names in between their names, and they like having the lineages of linking each grandfather to the next generation. So for the names, I really don't know. And I also can see why she thinks that that is a play so that it can confuse people a lot, such that a Jean-Michel Trogneux can show up, which is a different Jean-Michel Trogneux from the one in Brigitte's family, in the family photo. Because one of the questions she actually sent back to the lawyers who sent her the complaint is asking them, Jean-Michel Trogneux you told me is in the inauguration. Is it the same Jean-Michel Trogneux who is in that picture, in the family picture of Brigitte Macron? Crickets. Crickets. Nobody said a word. And same goes for many of the questions she asked them. And also, we can see that this entire situation is brewing around the world. There are a lot of things that are incorporated in this story, because it's not just Brigitte's past. Emmanuel Macron's past, it seems to also have a couple of loopholes. And Candace kind of alludes to the aspect that she believes that Macron's parents are not actually his parents. And the grandmother, very strange grandmother. I don't know whose grandmother in this world has ever given them the kind of books Emmanuel Macron's grandmother gave them. If your grandmother ever gave you books like that, please let us know in the comment section. Because my grandmother gave me the Bible, gave me Bible stories books, gave me books. The only book she ever gave me that was really, really out there was a book about learning to be a young girl, learning to know about her as I was growing up as a teenager. She gave me a book like that. But I don't know which grandmother is giving their child books on people who were adoring things that have to do with PDF, little boys, playing around little boys' buttocks. La famille là, je ne sais pas, je ne sais pas, je vous assure, c'est quelque chose de très, très intéressant. In between this, there is also the aspect that there are documents which shows that Jean-Michel Trogneux, who has suddenly gone missing in public, allegedly, cannot be found. But the last time he was noticed was when he was enlisted in, is it Algeria or Morocco? Morocco. Yes, in the army in Algeria or in Morocco. Sorry. I think if I made a mistake, please let me, I'm not exactly sure now. Algeria and Morocco keeps coming up in this story, and it's too confusing. Please. Anyway, right now, this is all we will say. There is also another family photo of Brigitte Macron's parents' 50th anniversary. During that 50th anniversary, which took place in 1991, guess who was not there, even though the others were all there? Jean-Michel Trogneux was not there. Brigitte was there. Also, during the Élysée Palace inaugurations of Macron, as they sent the so-called videos and pictures that to prove that this is him. Also, where the family, the brothers, sisters, Brigitte and the brother and her siblings are sitting, guess who is not sitting there? The Jean-Michel Trogneux that the Élysée Palace sent in the letter saying that he is the one, the short guy. He's not sitting with that particular set of family. But do you know where he is found? He is found standing next to David Rothschild, allegedly. So the mystique of Jean-Michel Trogneux, the mystique of the real Brigitte Macron, with Brigitte Trogneux, the original little girl sitting on the lap of the mother in that original family picture, is still something that is still in search. And as she rounded up her series, she called for people to send her information on anything. And also, I'm going to also call, if I made a mistake in this, please drop it in the comment section to help others. And also, I encourage you to go to her page and watch more of this. Any part that you felt I didn't explain properly, I'm sure probably you understanding more from her or from Xavier Poussard, because he really very eloquently explains everything. And it would be really lovely if you could go there and you follow it up. Thank you very much for following this up with me. I am very happy that I was able to put this together so that those who don't have the time to go and be clicking one video after the other or finding where it started, because it is so many videos after so many videos and sometimes it's complicated. So I decided to put all of it together, explain it in my own easy way that I thought you could understand, so that it makes it comprehensive. Now we are waiting for part 2 because she is about to drop season 2. Candace, please don't fail us. It's supposed to be tonight. So I'll probably edit this video. This is Monday, 8 p.m. I'll probably edit this. If I finish editing this by today night or morning, I will upload it. Or tomorrow I upload. I've been working on this video for almost 5 days. Please pray for me. All right. Thank you very much for coming to the end of this. Please like, please subscribe, share the video. And until next time, bye.